Hi and welcome to GRVOTV, G's Reviews, Views and Opinions. Just want to go over a couple of things first. The Panasonic G80 was sort of announced at Photokina, but basically all they said is it's going to have 60 frames a second at 4K, and they've not given any more details, particularly a couple of little bits, but nothing. A lot of the important things that people want to know: does it have in-body image stabilisation? Has it got an oversized sensor? Is it better in low light? Yada, yada, yada. None of that information is available. It looks like they've had to announce it. They've been forced to, but it's obviously been delayed for some reason. So I'm not going to talk about that. The camera that I am interested in, and I'm going to talk about, is the G80. Now, I'm not sure about their numbering system, because they've gone from the G6 to the G7 to the G80. Which is a bit confusing because they've got the GX80, which was a replacement for the GX7. So to my mind, this would have been, this should have just been the G8, but they've now called it the G80. And what that is basically amalgamation of these two cameras. So if you watch my review on the G7 and my review on the GX80/85, then you'll basically get the new G80. Now, I actually predicted this exact camera. I said if you put the guts out of this in this body, that's getting pretty close to my perfect camera. And one of the big things was the in-body image stabilisation, and that's exactly what they've done. I love the handling of this, but without the image stabilisation, I just feel it slightly limited. Only difference I can see handling wise on the new body is that the grip seems to be a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit fatter, and it has like a recess, so it's going to be better than this, and this pretty much fits me perfect. The GH3 and the GH4 were my ultimate sort of, yes, this is made for me sort of cameras, but this is close, and I think with a slightly bigger grip that's going to be even better. So I'm well happy with that. It's got an improved viewfinder by the looks of it. Screen seems to be the same. The layout of all the buttons and dials is the same, which is great because this is such a well laid out camera. Everything that you need is to hand. And with that fully articulating touchscreen, you know, it makes this an absolute joy and one of the easiest cameras to use. The menu system is phenomenal. Just a point to note, the bags, people are always asking me about my camera bags. These are Olympus pen bags. Now, I've been told they came with a Olympus pen camera as like a package deal years ago, but I just picked these ones up off of eBay. It's not something, I don't think you can just buy out of a shop, but I picked these up off eBay, so you'd have to search for yourself. Right, back to the camera. So it's going to have the same sensor, so still 16 megapixels, but they've lost the AA filter out of this, and they will out of the new G80. So you're going to get a sharper image, they say 10%. It's a newer generation sensor as well, so overall you're getting better image quality. I'm really happy with what I'm getting out of this. I'm hoping they'll have the L monochrome, which is in this. I presume that'll be on here. That's a lovely looking black and white. It's got obviously all 4K, the post focusing. It's got it's actually got something I thought was quite interesting was the bracketing. It's actually got aperture bracketing, which is interesting. It's going to shoot fast. You know, if you're shooting in RAW plus JPEG, it's going to give you a really good buffer. This does. In JPEG, it's pretty much unlimited with a fast card. The only thing that I didn't notice, which would have been nice, would have been dual card slots, but they haven't done that. And I think that's obviously saved for the GH5, but that would have been nice to see dual card slots. But obviously the benefits over this is that you get the fully articulating screen and you get the mic jack as well, the 3.5mm mic jack. So that's great. And they're the sort of the two things that I really miss on this camera. Although I love it, I love the design, the feel, and the use of it. I do miss having the fully articulating screen and the mic jack. So the G80 will give me pretty much everything I want. The autofocus is definitely improved on this. The shutter is improved as well because it's going to have the same like magnetic shutter. I don't understand it, but basically what it does is it gets rid of shutter slap or shutter shock that a lot of people have complained about with the G series of cameras. They reckon that's been 90% eliminated, so pretty much, you know, I've never really seen it, but you know, people have. It is obviously there, and I might have just put it down to movement in the subject or movement in me, when in actual fact it was possibly the camera. So that's been pretty much eliminated, which is great. It's still got the pop-up flash, the same. Obviously it's going to take all the lenses, but lenses like the lens I've got on here now, that's the the Panasonic 25-17. That will be stabilised now on this camera body. The 45-18 that I've got on there, that's going to be stabilised on the new body. So that's fantastic. Things like, if you're talking about shooting in low light, bearing in mind it's a better sensor. These are pretty good in low light anyway. I've got no problems with the GX80. Things like the Olympus, they've got now the 25mm f1.2 on a stabilised body. That's going to be a phenomenal lens for low light. You've got the 75-18, the 17, the 12s. All of those are non-stabilised lenses, which now you put on a Panasonic body, they're going to be stabilised. It's just fantastic. Even like the what was it? The 45-150 2.8 Pro lens that I had from Olympus, that wasn't stabilised. So on a Panasonic body, that will now be stabilised. That is the one main reason why I got rid of my GH4, was because it had no inbuilt image stabilisation, and I was using lenses that I wanted stabilised, and that's why I switched to the Olympus OMD, and then I eventually had the EM5 Mark II. Albeit the image stabilisation was fantastic, I just couldn't live with the way the camera was laid out. Didn't suit me, and I just couldn't deal with the very poor continuous autofocus. Definitely better in these for stills, not great for video. I do understand that, and that is one of the things people are hoping with on the GH4, is they're hoping for phase detect autofocus, or something akin to Canon's dual pixel focusing system, which basically means that when it goes from point to point, it doesn't hunt, whereas these, they'll go past, back, and then lock, and you see that in your videoing. For stills, it's not so much of a problem, and these do track really well moving subjects. I've shot sports with this and everything, and I've no problem at all. They're not, you know, in sort of 7D Mark II category or anything like that, or Nikon D500 category, but they do very well. So there is a hope for that, but unfortunately that's not coming in the G80. There's not really an awful lot else, so other than literally taking the guts out of that and putting it in here, there's not a great deal. ISO goes from a boosted down to 100, but it's a base 200, up to 25,600. Depending on how you use these, I've shot and got decent photos up to 12,000, whatever. 6400 is fine. I say it depends on your light, what you're doing, and what you're going to do with the image, whether it's colour, black and white, you know, whatever. You've got, and this is where I think Canon have gone really badly wrong in not putting 4K in some of their newer cameras, and not implementing it very well when they do. The 4K is fantastic, but for someone, I don't really shoot in 4K, but it's the added benefits that you get with the 4K, and things like post focus, and the, you know, shoot video to take the still out of it, the slider function whereby you can make it look like you've got a really expensive slider system and export a 1080 video, but it's all using the 4K capabilities of the camera. So it's not just a case of do you or don't you shoot 4K. Even if you don't shoot 4K, which I don't, because of upload times and computers and things like that, but you know, I'm still getting added benefits that I wouldn't from a non 4K camera. So there are some great benefits there. Autofocus is just astonishing, point to point in these, and also in the dark. I mean, this is a Fuji Xe1, known to be not a great autofocusing camera. On occasions, this does not focus at all. It just will not grab focus in low light. This nails it, no problem whatsoever. And the new G80 is going to have the same system, so it's going to have the same performance as the GX80, which is great. The LVF is going to be a 2.360,000 dot OLED with a 0.74 times magnification and 100% field of view. So I think that's just a little bit better than the one in here, but the one in here is fine. So the fact that it's better, it's going to be great. The rear screen seems to be the same, and it's going to have the same brilliant touch capabilities. So you can have it as a touchpad to focus, touch to shoot, all of those wonderful features, touching through the menus. You know, it is the best implemented touchscreen bar none, in my opinion, on these cameras. So there you go. As I say, I think I'm in a good place to give you a decent preview of what this camera is going to be like. I can't think of any real downsides. Particularly, I'm not bothered that it didn't boost the sensor to a 20 megapixel. I think the fact that they've gone to the 16 megapixel that's in here is fantastic. When I compared this to the 20 megapixel sensor in the GX8, I couldn't really tell any difference. If anything, I thought the overall image quality out of this was better than the GX8. We're talking marginal, but I do think it was definitely better. And that's going to then be transported into here, which is going to be fantastic. So for me, this is generally my partner's camera. So we're definitely going to swap the G7 for the G80. For me, I think I'll have to as well, because it gives me everything I want. And whilst I love this little camera and the form factor, and when you're out shooting, people think that you've got a point and shoot. They pay no attention to you whatsoever. Whereas when you've got a slightly bigger camera, you sometimes do draw attention. And also, like, if you've got something, like a Fuji, people sort of do comment and they're interested in what you're shooting. Some people like that. I don't like that. I don't want anyone interested in my camera gear when I'm out shooting, particularly because you never know if they're eyeing it up to nick it at some point. Or you don't want to be bothering people and things like that. So this is a very discreet little camera, this one, and I do really like it. But the fact that this isn't that much bigger, it's still going to be... Oh, the other thing, big thing, I forgot to mention, and it's not a great deal for me really, because a lot of the lenses aren't weather sealed that I use, although I have got one weather sealed lens. It is going to be weather sealed, and it does have a new front magnesium alloy. So they've beefed it up a bit. Basically, it's going to be a little bit heavier than this one, which is a slight downside. But they've beefed it up, and they've got some weather sealing on all the buttons and that, and it'll be a bit more dust resistant, which is a good thing. Personally, I'd just take a Ziploc bag, or the last time I got caught out in the rain with this, I used I had a doggy poo bag and just put that over it. It's fine. But so it's not a deal breaker for me, but for some people it is, especially if you're using it as a B camera for videoing or something like that. Then the fact that it's weather sealed could be a really big deal for some people. So that's it really. I'm not sure on the battery. I'm going to guess and say it'll be the same battery as the G7, which will be good if you've got spares on that. But yeah, other than that, it looks like I don't like having two cameras the same, but if it gives you what you want, then go for it. I've still got an unhealthy interest in the Fuji system. I do like the Fuji system. It does have its downfalls. I do like the look of the Fuji X-T2, but it's too expensive at the moment, to be honest. Looks like the pricing on this is going to be about, I think it's going to be about, let me just double check this, £700 body only, and I think the G7 at the moment is about £450, £500 body only, so about £700 for that, which I think is okay. There is a new kit lens that they've brought out, which I'm not really interested in. I'll just be going for the body only, but so I'll probably be picking up maybe two of these. I've got no need for the GH5. Yes, I think that's a real videographer's camera, the GH5. My GH4 was great, but it was way beyond what I needed for video, whereas these do sort of perfect for me. So there you go. This has been GRVOTV, G's Reviews, Views and Opinions, with my preview on the Panasonic Lumix G80. I'll see you soon. Bye.